Welcome to Surviving This Together, another Survivor podcast. This week we're discussing the second episode of Season 35, Heroes, Healers, and Hustlers. I'm Levi.
I'm Lauri.
And I'm Brandon. And before we start, I gotta say, Levi, you are so ugly. You are on the wrong podcast, man.
Oh, man. It's a good thing I know how to find immunity idols. That's
Right?
not true. That's not true. No, that's
was
great.
really
I like
good.
it. I like it. Let's see. This episode started off with coming back from the tribal council, and the whole thing with like Alan trying to really push that power couple thing.
And the first thing he said that stood out to me was, like, Ball starts out right away with saying, like, man, I wasn't expecting Tribal to go like that. I wasn't expecting Fist to fly. And I'm like, dude, you spent the whole first 3 days or whatever making as much drama as you could to make Fist fly. Like, your plan worked. How are you surprised your plan worked? I didn't really understand that.
I don't think this guy knows what he's doing. I mean, I don't think he has any sort
No.
of plan. He's so up and down, and I'm kind of over it. I'm glad this was dropped pretty early.
I don't know. The JP and Ashley were both on the defensive throughout the episode, like trying to tell everyone every time like JP or Ashley approached somebody, they're like, "Hey, what's going on? You want to talk strategy? I'm not in a power couple."
Well, like, it came up a couple other times. Like, they basically... last episode, we had been kind of wondering if the narrative was that they were together was just kind of being forced a little bit. And in this one, they all but, like, confirmed it. Like, JP even had his whole thing where he really awkwardly compared not boning Ashley or not flirting with Ashley to fighting fire, where he's like, I just have to be good under pressure. And this is kind of like that. It was super weird, like, analogy to make. So, like, they basically confirmed that, like, they had been flirting, and he's like, I need to be on the defensive now and stop that, so...
He said something really funny where he was like, well, if everybody thinks we're a power couple, we might as well just take all the advantages that come with being a couple. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, yep. So he really wants to actually be with her, maybe.
We didn't really get much of Ashley. Like, she kept telling everybody else. We didn't get any confessionals from her that wasn't her defending not being a power couple to... So I wonder if it's almost like Ashley's, like, distancing herself, and JP's like, oh, well, I guess I'm also distancing myself from her, I guess.
I don't know. It seems like they're both being pretty smart about it. And there's some things I didn't understand about the last episode. And I was hoping we get kind of caught up this episode, and there's still some confusion. Like I said, they mentioned the Alliance of Four again, excluding Chrissy, which means Chrissy like didn't officially know what was going on, but she made the right decision. But I think it was interesting. She mentions that she's planning on saving her idol to be used later as a fake idol. And I thought that was a really smart move, really interesting tactic. I don't know if she like thought of that later or if she was thinking of it at the time, but I like where that's going.
It actually said that in the instructions in it, that they could use it at that one, or they'd be able to save it later, and that it would be, I can't remember the exact wording of it, but that it would make for a good decoy later. Like, they wouldn't have to get rid of it if it didn't get used.
Ah.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was really happy they brought it up and explained that.
You can tell producers were like, we really want something to happen with this, and they, like, I don't know if she would have thought on her own to use that as, like, it's funny that they kind of planted that seed, that that's something that could be used for, just to try to get a little bit more mileage out of it.
Yeah, works. Yeah, there's clearly no trust going on in this hero tribe, though. Things came back and like everything got shook down and kind of restarted.
The one thing I would have never seen coming, though, was that it seems like the only real companionship, like, trustful relationship we have right now is Chrissy and Ben.
It was cracking me up when they first like came back because or when Chrissy mentions that she's like, oh yeah, well I could do this and I could do that. She's like, and I'm what's her job title again?
She's an actuary.
Yeah. She comes back and she's like doing her confessional, and she's like, actuary senses tingling. Ben is the best bet.
I was going to say, that's exactly what Lauri was saying last episode, where she's going to be able to say, well, what if I vote out this person? The future consequence is this. What if I go with this person? This is the future consequence. And she went through all of them, and it made me fall in love with her. I'm rooting for her probably more than anybody at this point.
Yeah, her actual viewpoints was that she thinks Ashley's super smart, but she doesn't think she's trustworthy. She thinks that Alan is nuts. She's like, I'm not even going to I'm not even going to justify that. I'm not working with him. And then that,
JP is dumb.
Yeah, she's like,
Yeah,
JP,
yeah.
he seems like a nice guy, but he's just not very smart, I don't think. It's funny, because coming from her, it didn't sound mean either, because she's so matter-of-fact. She was like, I've assessed it, and he's just not bright. Like, it wasn't mean. It was just like, a fact.
Yeah, I felt, she had a really great segment, and she came off as charming and just brilliant. You know, it feels like she's running circles around these guys.
Yeah. Well, until, on her tribe, perhaps. But, I mean, once she gets around, like, Mike and all them.
I could guess what tribe is going to tribal at the end, because we get a whole bunch from the Hustlers right here. Like, most of it was, they had to build, like, the first few episodes at least, like, the first 2, if not 3, depending on who wins what, they just have to, since you don't know anybody, like, you could kind of see, we got barely anything from the healers again, aside from, like, the immunity idol, but we got a lot of tension build up with the Hustlers.
Yeah, and I think this is the tribe I've been most excited to actually watch, because this has the biggest characters on it.
Yeah, I don't ever like to analyze the edit, though. Like, I feel like it's either not accurate or it is accurate, which takes away from the entertainment. So, like, I never sweat that stuff.
With that in mind, it was funny because, like, as soon as we started getting a little bit more focus on the Hustlers, Ryan says, like, yeah, we're doing really well. We're all getting along super great. We've got this great momentum worked up. And I'm just like, ooh, I feel like those are just kind of, like, he, like, jinxed it, basically.
Yeah, that's the same as saying, there's no way I'm going home tonight.
Yeah, he wrote that.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's good to see Ryan and Devin are still working together really well. Yeah, and they definitely did some foreshadowing there when Ryan, like, the first thing that Ryan says, like, is that Simone is weird.
And when Ryan says you're weird, you're weird.
Yeah. He was like, you need to really blend in the early parts of Survivor. And I'm like, dude, you made such a big deal about your freaking red turtleneck. Like,
are you guys coming around to Ryan?
I like him more as a person than I thought I would, but I think between his interactions at camp, as well as he showed a lot of his cards as a strategist at Tribal later on. Like, he said the stuff that Chrissy was saying in her confessionals, but, like, in front of everybody.
Interesting.
Almost.
The way I felt about watching him on this episode was relieved that he was safe. So yeah, I'm turning around on him. You know what I mean? You know how when you get that and you're rooting for one tribe to win, and you're like, oh, I like this tribe a lot more than I thought I did. And then when you're rooting for one person to be safe, that was him on that tribe, him and Lauren. So Devin said something really interesting in this episode where he said, when I'm talking to everybody else, I'm not smiling, but when I'm talking to you, I'm actually smiling. And so he, like, enjoys being around him and enjoys playing the game with him. And I just thought that was a cool thing to have in this social experiment, you know?
They're cute.
They're adorable together. I can't tell if I like Ryan more or if I just really like their little friendship.
You know what crazy thing I noticed in this episode? At one point, Simone said that she has 10 brothers and sisters. That's a big family.
I'd missed out on that.
I didn't hear that either.
Yeah.
I think, it was when she was cutting up the fish. I think I was kind of distracted at that point, but I faintly remember that now that you say it.
Oh, because she said, who's gutting the fish? And I thought they said, who's getting the fishy from Fishback?
What?
So I started thinking about that, and then I missed her segment.
She was knuckles deep in that fish. Like, she's like, oh, I read about it online, and I took that as kind of them being like, okay, we'll see how this goes. Instead, she's like, poof, 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 and, like, took it all apart, and she's like, there's the fish, guys. I was like, Jesus.
I feel like I can shake this moment to say that, like, I've actually done that myself. I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos about how to gut a fish just in case, like, you know, I was ever either on Survivor or in a survival situation. You guys have never done something like that? Like, where you researched something like that before?
I've had to gut a fish before.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Interesting.
at my grandpa's,
I've never have. Huh.
Yeah, I really thought they were setting her up for failure. Because, like, anytime somebody's like, oh, I read a tutorial, I've got this, you're like, okay. Sure you do. She nailed it, though. That was great. But it was funny because it was, like, right after they put together, like, a super edit of her being like, there's no AC. Oh, there's so many bugs. Oh, my God, I've never spent this much time outside. And then she's just, like, knuckles deep in the fish. Like, totally cool.
Yeah.
Her entire story arc was in this one episode. Because last episode, we never really heard from her. And when this episode began, I was like, okay, she doesn't have AC. I can tell she's joking a little bit, but she's kind of, you know, that annoying girl out there. And then by the end, I liked her a lot. I think they did her a good justice with her little story arc.
Allie was trying to get her, like, pumped up there.
See, I felt like Allie was making her feel comfortable because she knew she was probably going. You know, and that way Simone didn't have to scramble or didn't feel like she had to scramble. Because it would have been horrible for Allie to try to save Simone in this situation.
There's a little bit, I heard about this on another podcast that shall not be named, But Allie, I doubt they're going to mention it on Survivor, which is kind of why I'm bringing it up, because they, in this episode, kind of magnified that Allie and Patrick are like together, and they didn't really say why, and they hadn't really shown us any of why they were so together and why she was so adamant that she's like, I'm going to end up babysitting him, but like we've been together day one. They actually know each other outside of this game. I feel like that's worth saying because they didn't really give any backstory. They just expect you to kind of buy that they're super close without showing you any of that. So,
and I doubt though if they will say anything about that.
Yeah, if they were going to, they would have this episode.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that because I remember her saying she doesn't know if he'll remember her because they weren't like close friends. They were like friends through friends. But I'm sure they do now. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like everybody else gets the origin story. You know, they show like Lauren getting pulled away by somebody. They show Simone and Allie talking. They show like Chrissy and Ben bonding. But then for Patrick and Allie, they're just like, yeah, we've been together since day one, and they don't really give the origin story. So I felt like the relationship is worth noting there.
Yeah, that definitely is worth, knowing because it makes sense why they're together. Because normally these two people would not be.
No. Good Lord.
Patrick. They both seem like young party people. They're clearly the same age if they went to school together, so.
Yeah, more so just Allie seems very level-headed and Patrick's like, look at this crab I'm fighting! Like, I don't see somebody like Allie putting up with Patrick for... He's great, but like,
No, I love Patrick. Patrick is my man. Like, but it was cracking me up on this episode. At one point, Patrick says, I'm a wild banshee. And then, of course, like CBS does what CBS does. And at the bottom of the screen appears hashtag wild banshee. So, of course, I got on Twitter and I was like, all right, I'm going to look this up real quick. And it was mostly people like, man, I'd vote that guy off so fast. There's a lot of hate out there for Patrick on the internet. But I am pro Patrick. That guy's cool. I like him a lot.
I have in all caps, more Patrick, please.
I like him as a person, but if I were playing this game, I would not go near that. Like he Keith nailed it at Tribal, where he's like, I don't trust almost anybody. I mean, I trust everybody.
Stick to the plan, guys.
And he's just like covering his mouth, like, oh Lord. And this is the first Tribal Council. Like, if anything, this is the easy one. So like, how's he gonna do under pressure later?
It's gonna be great.
Great for us, bad for Patrick / Patrick's alliance at the point.
Yeah, no, I feel like he and Ryan are the ones that are like playing for All Stars. Maybe Dr. Mike as well, but we haven't seen a whole lot of him yet.
Yeah, what's great about Patrick is he's not trying. Like, I loved me some Michaela last season with her like tea sipping and stuff, but it's so great when it's just like, that's just Patrick.
I was gonna say, and then in his confessional, he's so normal, and he sounds like a farm boy. And then immediately he turns it on to like grabbing more crabs out of his pants. How many freaking crabs does this guy have in his pants?
Forgot about that. That was crap.
But in this one, he specifies that he's scared of crabs. Like, why did you have it in your pants, man? That's not where you put things you're scared of.
That's what I liked about him so much. He's like freaking out. He's like, no, I'm deathly afraid of crabs. I'm going to get over it because like that's what you do on Survivor. This is great. But I got a question for you guys. When I switched over to the Healers tribe, Cole, what's the name of that girl that Cole was kind of getting flirty with? Jessica. Okay. Like, they made that kind of like a big deal in like the next episode thing on the last episode, and like it was like 20 seconds of airtime. Like Cole, like, hey, you're cute, I'm flirting. You're older than me, and she's like, hey, you're cute too, and like that's it. Like there was a build up on the last episode for that. I'm upset.
Yeah, I think it's just because like they knew the Healers, like they knew that Joe was getting the idol, so they needed to play that up because those producers love that idol stuff. But also, like, this is the first time I think we've seen anything from Desi, so I think they were just trying to show us a little bit of what's going on for, like, whatever's happening next episode, because, like, they didn't have enough time this episode to really give them anything else, but they wanted to give us something.
Somewhat? Desi?
Yeah, Desi. We hadn't heard from Desi at all in the first episode.
I don't know who Desi is.
What did we hear from her this episode?
It was just super brief, but her and Mike were, like, laying there, and they were just chatting, where he's like, how many beauty pageants have you won? And like talking about that. And that's when Joe's like, man, you're so ugly. Are you sure me and you weren't on the wrong tribe? And that's like where that came from. And then we went from like that straight into the idol.
I remember Desi now.
This is a really good looking cast. And everybody's like in super good shape. Like even the like quote unquote like old lady mom like is great body, like very in shape and stuff. In a normal cast, Mike might be okay, but like compared to these like Greek gods, he's just like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. Thought it was funny that like that Immunity Idol like clue went, like Joe finds it and he's like, oh, that's the boat, and then he's like, oh, then Cole must have found it. Well, let me go ahead and like start talking to Cole now since he like probably found it. And then Cole's like, yo, that's the well, bro.
This was infuriating. I was pulling my hair out. I'm like, how?
Don't tell him. Joe's horrible. Don't tell him what it means. Just be like, yeah, that's weird. And then like fake help him look for it wherever he freaking wants to go look for it. Like you don't need to tell him that you solved it. That's so stupid.
The problem with that is he can't just say, yeah, I don't know what that means. Because Joe is like Alan, where he's going to say, I know you have the idol. I know you have it. This looks like a boat.
Whatever. He seems off the hinge though. Okay, but like, so if we're comparing to Alan, like how much damage did Alan do? Like, everybody on that tribe knew that JP and Ashley were like hooking up, but nobody like was even discussing the fact they had an idol. So like, let Joe tell everybody you have the idol. Say like, I don't have it. You're fine.
I don't know, like, because Joe was kind of like getting down on Mike's case. Like, Cole might have just dodged the bullet. Like, he might have been having the cop like breathing down his neck, trying to like stir up drama.
Well, but like we already had like Joe saying like Mike's public enemy number one. Like it's just Joe's picking his enemy of the week. Like nobody's gonna take him seriously already. He's changed his target.
If you're Cole at this point though, and Joe comes up to you and is already suspicious that you have the idol, and then you have the clue to the idol right there, and Joe knows you have the clue to the idol, his suspicions are only going to get worse. And so you have to go along with him and say, I don't have it. This is probably where it's at.
I disagree. I think it'd be really good to be like, yeah, man, let's go look at the yacht. Like, you're super smart for figuring it out. Now Joe knows that Cole's smarter than him.
Well, see, here's the thing. I think that you're right that like Cole shouldn't have told him what the clue meant, and I do believe it was a mistake that he did that and that he wouldn't have done that intentionally. But I think that it accidentally worked out in his favor, is what I'm saying. Like I think that by keeping Joe off his back, like, and not having like the guy who wants to spread paranoia working against him, that maybe it's going to be a little bit smoother for him, even though he's missing the idol.
If somebody comes up to you and says, hey, let's work together, you say, yeah, let's do that. Instead of like, no, I don't want to work with you.
Yeah, I think he should have still pretended to work with him, just not to show that he's smarter. Because in my head now, Joe was pissed at Mike because he knew Mike was smarter than him. Now he knows that Cole's smarter than him, and Cole knows he has the idol. He's going to try to make a beeline to get Cole out before he tells people. Like, he's paranoid now that Cole is going to blow up his game, and he knows that Cole figured out the thing and he couldn't figure it out. Yeah, I think Mike dodged a bullet here, because, like, now Joe is like, okay, he doesn't have the idol, obviously.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not a threat.
That's true. That's a good point. I also thought it was interesting. They went, like, I remember when Joe found the clue, like, I was thinking, like, oh, man, like, I might have, like, grabbed a rock and like tore that up on the spot, like, oh, the machete would be good, but you have to like go and get the machete and come back, and that's kind of suspicious. But yeah, then they showed Cole like hacking up the clue, and I thought that was good that we got to see that.
Yeah, I'm really glad they threw that in there. I think it would have been funny if nobody had thought to do that, and then we got like another wild goose chase, but they're like, what does it mean?
Yeah, I was dying to. Oh, okay, not dying to. Move on. You already said it. No, but I was really excited. I was like, oh my god, that's brilliant, because now somebody else can find it. And then I was like, or they could just cut it off.
What I noticed about this too is like it kind of showed, I think, a little snippet of how little they trust each other. Because while they were like looking for the idol, like if they had if this were Ryan and Devin and they were like digging for the idol, they'd be like, okay, I'm gonna dig, you keep an eye out. These two were both digging super obviously in a place that everybody has to go to get water. They do not trust each other to turn their back for a second.
That's I could see that. So I thought it was interesting. We definitely saw what's beginning to be a drama between Lauren and Patrick. She like threw his name out to Allie like right off the bat. I thought she was going to be the odd one out. It's weird to me that Simone was the weird one in the group over Lauren. I thought Lauren was going to be the one that couldn't like get with the group.
Lauren is handling it super well, like crazy good. She's noticing that she's super annoyed by Patrick, but she's like, I'm already older. I'm already like used to working my own. Like, I need to not let on how annoyed I am by. And like, obviously we see in the next episode that like that does not last long. See, but
I was
6
worried
days so far.
that Lauren was going to be so annoyed with him that her annoyance with him was going to get her voted out, because she was going to push so hard for one name, and that one name has a couple of votes behind him, you know?
In retrospect, Patrick probably should have gotten with Simone and tried to get Lauren out. I mean, I don't know if he knows how much like they dislike each other, or if somebody else was like calling all the shots and like Lauren and Patrick just both jumped on board. But yeah, Lauren and Patrick really should have been gunning for each other over Simone, it seems like.
Probably, because right now the way I see it is like, so Lauren is being kind of proactive and trying to buddy up with Allie. Like, those two kind of got a thing. Allie's also super tight with Patrick. I don't know that Patrick and Lauren would know ever that she's with both of them. I think she's like holding all the cards right now.
Allie's doing real good. Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, Allie and Lauren voted together tonight, but I think it was one of those Sandra things where anybody but me off of this tribe, and Simone's name had just been tossed around.
I think Lauren was trying, she's like, I know I need to like get in with these young kids, was kind of the point that she was making, and that like Allie was her person.
Yeah, but Simone thought that too.
Yeah,
Simone was late to the game though. I think Lauren really like she know, like Lauren may know that she's awkward, maybe doesn't have a whole lot in common, but she's like, I'm gonna get in there and talk to people anyways, because like a boss kind of thing.
It seems like Lauren's way more self-aware than I would have anticipated. Like, at one point she said, I'm a fisherwoman, like, I'm used to working alone, but I can work with other people if I need to. It's just a little bit hard. Like, she knows what her weaknesses are, and she seems to actively be trying to, like, correct that.
Yeah, I had her, like, one of my first outs. I think she's going to make it certainly further than I had originally anticipated preseason, so good for Lauren.
That's funny, because I have her as, like, close to my winner. And I kind of feel the opposite way as you guys right now. Like, I'm thinking she's going to go out soon.
But yeah, how about this competition? What do you guys think of that signpost puzzle?
No, I'm bored with water challenges that they have to dive in and get the puzzle out of, untie something and get the pieces. That part just bores me, so I kind of tune out for that. The puzzle,
the
puzzle was a crapshoot. I liked that they had previous seasons on, but it was a crapshoot.
I loved the puzzle. Like, after every season, they do the auctions where they let you buy props and stuff, and this was one where I was, like, looking at it, I'm like, man, I would really like to own this. That's a really cool, and I liked I didn't see it first, I thought it would just be, like, trying to fit stuff in or whatever, but the like, stop thing they had, the length of the sign parts, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting puzzle. I don't know how much skill there was behind it.
Yeah, no, there was kind of this competition things kind of went backwards though. Like the hustlers like did the swimming part really fast, but ended up losing at the puzzle, and the healers like did terrible at the diving part, but came in first because of the puzzles, and the heroes came in second on both. Okay, you guys are clearly not feeling this competition. So
I'm trying to think of anything to say about it.
Yeah, the competitions for me are always kind of, I think the only competitions that I really actively pay attention to are the endurance ones, because I feel like those are,
I hate those.
I mean, like, obviously you need to be fit to be able to do those, but it's also like, okay, I'm in serious pain, my muscles are completely fatigued, but I can hold on a little bit longer. And I think those are more, like, with this one, it's just kind of like, okay, who can go the fastest? Until it gets to the puzzle part, I'm not really...
Yeah, no, this wasn't like one of the better comps to watch, but I'll take it over like an endurance challenge. That drives me nuts when people are just like standing there, especially when it's like the really basic ones where it's like climb on the pole and hang on, It's like, oh, somebody's starting to slip. I bet they keep slipping.
Oh, I love it. Because there's the moments where somebody's slipping, or if they're like holding on to something where they're slipping, but then they just like dig deep.
Yeah, I like
that woman.
Okay, Jeff. I like the ones where it's more who wants it more, and not
as
much like who might put the right piece in the right spot.
My favorite challenge is always the one towards the end when it's like Final 5 or Final 4 where they have like the giant spider like web in the middle, and you gotta like one person, you can choose which way to run. So like one person's running to the thing where you gotta play Tetris with some blocks. The other one's like running through like the tunnel that you have to like grab onto some stuff on the side, and then you gotta grab a flag and bring it back to the middle, and everybody's like trying to like not bump into each other. I love those challenges, but that's late game stuff.
The one that always gets me is the one where they have the cages on the water and like they slowly lose space until their like lips are all that are like out, because it just like I'm like white knuckling watching that one. It's terrible.
That's one of my favorites.
So yeah, after the competition was done, Simone like threw Patrick's name under the bus like immediately.
Yeah, she was like showed a little bit of awareness here where she's like, Patrick is driving everybody insane. I need to go make sure Lauren knows how. Like, I think she kind of like, she was the one who wanted to do the eyebrow trick, right? Where she wanted to tell, like, oh, did you hear what so-and-so? So she kind of like, I think she's kind of the catalyst to like the Lauren Patrick blow up in the next episode, because she was kind of like just really cementing that Lauren knew that Patrick was like in the wrong and he's the one who's being annoying, and she's totally right for being so bugged.
That's what I have written down. She's telling everybody how annoying Patrick is and how upset they should be with him and how annoyed they should be with him.
Fair enough.
You know, and it's not fair to them that they have to live with this crazy person, and it works them up.
So basically on this one, Patrick's like, yeah, Allie's not leaving me. And Allie's like, yeah, Patrick's going to trust me no matter what. Like, it kind of seems like she knows that she could just like wake up every morning, flick Patrick in the face like 3 times, and he'd still be like, so what's the plan? Like, he's down.
See, I felt like Simone was actually doing a good job and making some good ground with these people.
Too little too late, maybe. She waited till like there was a threat before she started getting social.
It was hard to say with her. It was because we hadn't seen anything from this tribe, you know, so it was really hard to tell who was on the top and who was on the bottom and who, you know, what her position was.
Top and bottom and position, yeah. Go on.
What? Oh my gosh.
It was pretty blatant, Brandon.
You're blushing. I could see you blushing.
We get to tribal council. And I was worried this season that I'd be annoyed with every time I think the theme works really naturally. It's not as forced as it has been in some past.
Yeah. The Gen X one was driving me nuts.
The hustlers are the only ones that are really driving the theme, because heroes aren't going to be like, I'm a hero.
It's true. But I did notice a couple of times after the immunity when Jeff's like, okay, guys, it sucks that you've gotten to this point, but you're hustlers. You can figure it out. This is only the second week. And then he sends them off. He gives them like a little kernel of optimism. Yeah,
this tribal was great, though. Like, I mean, the tribal was kind of okay. I mean, it was a normal, boring, you know, early episode tribal, but it was cracking me up the way they came into this tribal, and Ryan has his whole birthday party talk.
Everybody was so confused, and he just kept on explaining it, and everybody was still confused, and then Jeff was like, hold on, and then Lauren's like, no, this is a funeral. This isn't a birthday party. What are you talking about?
I don't get the birthday thing at all. I mean, even now.
I think I kind of understand where he was going for, but I don't think it makes sense.
I think he
I think it's a horrible.
Will somebody just paraphrase?
Okay, so like, you know, when you were in grade school, and like they would invite everybody to every birthday party.
No, I don't.
You have like 12 kids in your class, so maybe not. If there's birthday parties, they invite the whole class. And so there's sometimes where you have to go to a birthday party for a kid you don't like, but your parents are like, you went to everybody else's birthday party. It'd be rude not to go since you were invited. So you have to go to like this cruddy birthday party for this kid you don't really like. So you're there and everybody's like having fun, but like that one kid is still there and it's his birthday and you're about to like give him presents and stuff, but really it'd be more fun if he wasn't there, I think.
But then
it still doesn't make very much sense.
Okay.
I know that. That's what Lauren was saying.
Okay, so here's what I got out of that. I think what he was trying to say, and I think, and like this is a theory. I can't say I know this because I was also very confused. My theory is he was saying that it was Simone's birthday party, and they were about to vote her out. So like it was weird being at her birthday party, knowing that things were going to go terribly.
Replace the word birthday with murder, and I think it makes sense. Like a murder party. Like, we all know we're going to murder this person, but they're not super sure yet. This is awkward.
Do you have murder parties?
Who has murder parties?
Yeah, Lauri.
Yeah, but I love the reaction. Everybody was just kind of, like, looking at him like, what? And then Lauren is just like, this isn't a birthday party.
But this is where Patrick got his like great line that was cracking me up, where he was like,
"Oh my!"
And Ryan is like right there with him too, and Patrick's like, "I mean, I trust all the members," and Ryan's like, "Oh yeah, I buy it."
Yeah, that was great. That was really good.
Somebody at one point in Tribal goes, "This is the oddest group of people I've ever been around." Directly to Patrick. Like with a shit-eating grin on his face, like, that'd be me. Yeah.
Okay, so my thing is, like, I actually had to rewind it for a second because everybody had this, like, super big reaction, so I thought I had not heard something, like, that he had accidentally said, like, I trust everybody but Simone, or something like that, but, like...
Yeah, I don't think
he didn't, like... it wasn't that big of a deal.
I don't think it was a
right?
full-blown stick to the plan with what's his name thing.
Yeah, because I feel like if they were looking around like, what's he talking about? They could just say, oh, probably Simone is the person he doesn't trust.
Like, and like when you're playing Survivor, like that's accurate. Like as long as you don't say a specific name, saying like, yeah, we all don't really trust each other right now. Like that's not that big of a deal. Yeah, no, I think Ryan was real lucky that Patrick kind of goofed, because I think he's being so openly like deeply strategic at Tribal. Like some of the stuff he was saying, I don't remember anything specifically. I just remember him saying like very specifically like, this is what we need to do, and if you're playing an individual game, you need to do this. And like he was just being very specifically strategic, whereas like most people like Lauren was like making broad strokes about what it meant to be a hustler and like what teamwork means and stuff like that. Like he was the only one who was really laying his strategy out there a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's kind of just like an open book kind of person. Yeah, we still haven't seen anything of Desi. We still haven't seen anything of what's her name, Jessica.
Yeah, I think the only real notable thing between Cole and Jessica was that while they were out on the raft is when Joe found the immunity idol. So they come back, and as they're like putting the boat away, they're like, how long have we been gone? Oh, it's been a couple of hours. So I think it was kind of like laying the seeds that they're kind of like separating themselves from the tribal, like a couple of hours in Survivor time to be like two people together away from everybody else, especially very early at the game when like bonds are being formed, is a really dangerous thing to do.
That's true. Well, before we get into moving on, I thought I'd update you guys on our golf score. Lauri has the best score right now with 3. Brandon is right behind her with 4 points, and I have 8 points. I'm not doing so hot.
How you guys feeling about your win picks right now? I'd like to note specifically that I don't really have much feeling about my win pick, because he has yet to go to Tribal, so I haven't seen a lot of him. He's doing mostly okay.
Mine's Devin. I'm feeling really confident. I mean, I think he's in good. He's not a target. He's with a person that he really likes, and I think they're going to go far. So
put Ashley in my first place, and that was kind of a risky move, and I still haven't got much of a vibe off first, so but I don't think it's going to pay off from what I have seen, but who knows.
Thanks for listening to this episode of We're Surviving This Together. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at survivingthistogether@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at surviving2, the number 2 together, and on Facebook. If you liked what you heard here, please subscribe and leave a review. Thanks, guys.